Episode number 71 of the Monday Morning Worship Leader. Exodus 24.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures give His glory. Praise Him above the heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Hey guys, Brother John here. So good to be with you on this Monday for Monday Morning Worship Leader. In case you're just tuning in, first time ever, just a little bit about what we do and about myself. I'm a worship leader in a Southern Baptist church, a mid-sized Southern Baptist church in St. Louis, Missouri. And I've been studying worship for years and years. And so I found some things have occurred to me, some things in Scripture have popped out to me. And so I spend once a week just kind of sharing. Sometimes I'll share from some personal experiences. Sometimes it'll be a very practical. Sometimes it'll be a very theoretical, maybe theological, maybe philosophical. But today is going to be more theological, and I hope you enjoy it. I shared on a particular episode of this podcast.
Episode number 61.
I shared this idea of having the worship leading Bible, the worship Bible. Now, I'm a man of two Bibles, and that's what the worship leading Bible was, the podcast was named. Man of Two Bibles, Part 1, Man of Two Bibles, Part 2. Man of Two Bibles, Part 1, I talked about just a thin, very easy to read, no footnotes, very clean Bible that I use from the pulpit for reading scriptures, doing benedictions. I even have a wedding service included in it, and some other things like that. But the other one, number 2, is the Bible that stays in my study, where I mark things, I write things. That and this Bible is really dedicated to the study of worship. It's a liturgical, theological Bible. And it's the study of worship between man to his God. And so it's got a lot of stuff in it. And so one of the most precious passages that I have in it, and it's very marked up, and I think it contains what I think of as the Meta-Liturgy that we should follow when we're putting together worship, is Exodus 24. And so for the next 5 to 7 minutes, I'm just going to expound on that. I just want to talk to you about a couple of aspects of this. And this particular passage of Scripture is Exodus 24, and it's when they're all at Mount Sinai, and God calls up 70 elders up to the top of Sinai to commune with him. Now, first of all, from verse 1 and what I just said, God called them. God initiates. God initiates. And so this is why a call to worship is so important, because in a call to worship, we establish the initiation of worship from a triune God. And so with that, God initiates worship. Says, then he said to Moses, come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from afar. So this is a powerful description of the fact that we do not initiate worship, but God does. And then the next one we see in verse 8, and that is atonement. But before we see that, there is a passage in verse 7 that I want to hit with you. He says, then he took the book of the covenant, read it in the hearing of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do and we will understand. Naseh v'nishma is what that is in the Hebrew. Naseh v'nishma. And in this, the Hebrews are saying, not we'll understand it, so we'll do it. They're saying we will do and we will understand. And this is really the whole backing theory of formative worship. We do it every week so we understand God. And so I just love that little nugget right in there in verse 7. And then verse 8, as I was saying, we get to atonement, where he says, Moses took the blood and threw it at the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words. And so we have, first of all, God initiating, we have atonement, and then we have pardon. And that pardon is implied here in verse 11. He says, and he did not lay a hand on the chief men of the people of Israel when they beheld God, and then they ate and drank. And so we have a dedication here, and we have communion, and also we have proclamation. And in this small passage, chapter 24, and really the first 11 verses, we see a meta-liturgy that carries out over and over and over in Scripture, where God initiates worship, there is atonement, and then there is pardon from God. And then we proclaim God's goodness. And then you have a dedication of sorts, and then you commune with God. I think this is such an interesting passage of Scripture. There's so many other reasons I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that Nadab and Abihu are listed here, and they will go on to be the two that will be immolated in God's wrath for introducing strange fire. There in Leviticus, they will introduce this special brew of spices to use for incense that really, God really lays down the law and says, I did not prescribe that. And so he burns them up immediately. But yet, they're called up here at the top of the mountain, just like those 70 elders, to take in communion with God. So again, as you think about, and I'll list this in the show notes, you think about the Meta-Liturgy here. It's God initiates, and I always look at that as call to worship. You have atonement, you sing about the blood, and you also have a time of confession in that. And then there's pardon that's implied in Scripture. And then you have a time of proclaiming the goodness of God. Then you dedicate yourself to God, and then you commune with God through communion. And so those 6 words, I hope you find them to be good. Hey, this is a great book. You know, we're talking about the 6 words. Well, let's talk about 6 days. This is called From Postlude to Prelude. That's right. The book talks about what happens at the end of Sunday service to the beginning of the next Sunday's service. From Postlude to Prelude, the 6 days. Music Ministries, other 6 days. This is written by C. Randall Bradley. It's been out for about 20 years, but it's a very good book. Some of it may be a little dated. Some of it may not pertain to your ministry, but a lot of it does. I would definitely encourage you to buy it. It has just everything from vocational issues to delegation to recruiting volunteers, communicating, music library, leadership, and so much more. It's From Postlude to Prelude. And I'll have, again, the title in the show notes, C. Randall Bradley for that. Hey, we've just had about 8 minutes quickly together. I hope you will remember the 6 words I shared with you. And I hope that you'll take them to heart as you plan worship each week, as you come up with the liturgy that is so biblically supported. And that's what we want in it. We want biblically supported liturgy that helps our people become better disciples. And then we want them to do so they will understand. Oh, I'm so glad to talk to you. I'm just going to remind you, we're not rock stars. We are servants. God bless you. Well, I talked about them in the podcast. Let's talk about them some more next time. Nadab, Abihu, and the regulative principle.
Next time on the podcast.